Stop right there, you thief! The loud booming voice echoed through the bustling street of Seoul as you ran for your life, clutching a shiny leather wallet in your hand. Your heart pounded in your chest, but a grin spread across your face. Catch me if you can, Mr. Too Trusting, you yelled over your shoulders, your heels clicking against the pavement. You had spent the last 3 days working on your latest project, a well-dressed businessman with just enough arrogance to fall for your charms. All it took was a few eyelash flutters, a slightly exaggerated laugh at his lame jokes, and a well-timed spill of your drink on his suit jacket. Easy pickings. Yeah, come back here. Sorry, busy schedule, you called back, darting into a narrow alleyway. The man finally gave up, panting and muttering about never trusting women again. You leaned back against the wall, catching your breath as you admired your prize. Well, Mr. Kim Jae-ho, looks like dinner is on you tonight, he said, flipping through his wallet. A few credit cards, some cash, and oh hello, an exclusive membership card to a private club. Jackpot. You tucked everything neatly into your bag and strutted out of the alleyway like the queen you were. As you walked down the street, your head held high and confidence radiating from every step, you couldn't help but feel a twinge of pride. You glanced at your reflection in a store window, giving yourself a wink. And then, with a dramatic flair, you begin narrating your own story as if the entire world was your audience. Hi there, you're probably wondering who I am. Allow me to introduce myself. You turn slightly, letting the imaginary camera zoom in on your sly smirk. My name is Wayne, professional charmer, occasional troublemaker, and let's face it, a full-time genius. Some might call me a thief, but I prefer the dumb opportunist. You paused to toss your hair over your shoulder, your voice dropping to a mock-serious tone. I've got a simple philosophy. Life is too short to play it safe. Why settle for crumbs when you can have the whole cake? Men like Mr. Kim Jae-ho here. You patted the wallet in your bag. They practically begged to be outsmarted. Stopping to admire a passing display of shoes, you pointed at your reflection in the glass. Now don't get me wrong, I've got my own set of morals. For instance, I only borrow from people who deserve it. Arrogant tycoons, greedy CEOs, and that one guy who cut me off in traffic last week. Fair game. You turn back to the imaginary audience. But before you judge me, let me ask you this. Have you ever been so good at something that it feels like a superpower? Because that's me. Only my superpower happens to be, well, taking what I want. With a final spin and a wink, you concluded. Stick around. This is just the beginning of a story you won't want to miss. Feeling thoroughly pleased with yourself, you adjusted your bag and strode off, completely unaware of the pair of dark eyes that had been watching you from the shadows, a smirk playing on his lips. The game had only just begun and you were about to meet your match. I don't like waiting, Park. John Jungkook leaned forward in his chair, his dark eyes piercing the man across the table. The dimly lit room reeked of smoke and intimidation, much like the man himself. With his sharp jawline, perfectly styled hair, and a suit that screamed money, Jungkook looked like a man you wouldn't want to mess up. Apologies, Mr. John, the man stammered. The shipment got delayed, but I assure you, no excuses. Jungkook interrupted, his voice cold. If you can't deliver on time, maybe I'll find someone who can. The man swallowed hard, nodding furiously. Jungkook waved him off, leaning forward to pour himself a drink. Business was ruthless, but that's what made him the most feared and respected mafia boss in the city. You came at a luxurious rooftop lounge, the kind of place where you didn't belong but managed to sneak into anyway. Your eyes locked onto John Jungkook immediately. Whoa, you whispered to yourself. Who's Mr. Tall, Dark and Dangerous? Jungkook was sitting in a private booth, sipping whiskey like he owned the place. Technically, he probably did, but you didn't know about that. What caught your attention was the shiny watch on his wrist and the bulging wallet peeking out of his pocket. This one is going to be fun, you muttered, adjusting your dress and putting on your most dazzling smile. You walked towards him, accidentally bumping into his table. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You gasped, your hand slightly brushing his arm as you steadied yourself. I didn't see you there. Jungkook looked up, his dark eyes narrowing slightly. It's fine. You bit your lip, pretending to be nervous. I hope I didn't ruin your drink. Let me buy you another one to make up for it. He raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. Do I look like someone who needs a free drink? You blinked, momentarily thrown off. Rude, but you weren't giving up that easily. Of course not, you said sweetly, trying to seduce him. But a handsome man like you shouldn't be sitting here all alone. Jungkook smirked, finally showing a hint of amusement. Bold, aren't you? You flashed your sweetest smile, sliding into the seat across from him without even asking. Confidence was your middle name, after all. Bold is the way to live. Besides, it's not every day I stumble across someone who looks like they walked straight out of a magazine. You leaned forward, resting your chin on your hand, eyes sparkling like you hadn't already mentally calculated the content of his wallet. And it's not every day I meet someone who ignores personal boundaries so effortlessly. The waiter came over, and before Jungkook could speak, you smiled at him. Another whiskey for the gentleman, and I'll have a mojito, please. You glanced at Jungkook. I hope you don't mind me ordering. I wanted to thank you for not being upset about my clumsiness. You're assuming I'll stay long enough to drink it? Why wouldn't you? Are you afraid I'll be too much to handle? He smirked, leaning closer across the table. Afraid? No. Curious maybe. You laughed lightly, casually resting your hand near his on the table. You know I don't usually approach strangers, but something about you. You paused as if searching for the right words. You seem different. Different how? Like you don't belong here, you said, looking around the glamorous lounge. Everyone else is pretending, but you are just you. Jungkook tilted his head, clearly intrigued now. And what makes you think you know me so well? I don't, not yet, but I would like to. You let the words hang in the air, giving him a small, inviting smile. You're confident. Most women would be too nervous to talk to me like this. Well, I'm not most women, you said with a wink. The waiter returned with the drinks, and you raised your glass. Two unexpected encounters. He hesitated for a moment, then clinked his glass against yours. Unexpected indeed. As you chatted, you subtly kept his attention on you, laughing at his dry humor, leaning in just enough to show interest but not desperation. And when he excused himself to take a phone call, you made your move. While Jungkook stepped away, you reached for his wallet, which had been resting on the edge of the table. Your fingers brushed against the smooth leather, and you slipped it into your bag with the fineness of a magician. You quickly scanned the room to make sure no one was watching and adjusted your dress, preparing to make your exit. But before you could even stand, a voice stopped you. Going somewhere? You froze, your heart dropping to your stomach. Jungkook stood behind you, one hand casually in his pocket, the other holding his phone. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes sparkled with amusement. I was just going to the restroom, you said, forcing a laugh. With my wallet? You blinked, feigning confusion. What? No, I... Don't bother lying, he interrupted, leaning down until his face was inches from yours. You think I didn't notice? Panic set in you as you realized you were caught, but you weren't giving up that easily. Look, I can explain. Save it, he said, holding out his hand. Wallet now. You sighed dramatically, pulling the wallet out of your bag and handing it back to him. Fine, but for the record, you weren't supposed to catch me. He chuckled, shaking his head. You have got guts, I'll give you them, but you're playing a dangerous game, sweetheart. Oh please, what's the worst you're going to do? Call the police? Jungkook smirked, his eyes darkening slightly. No, I have got other ways of dealing with little thieves like you. Jungkook loomed over you, holding his wallet and smirking like he had already won. His dark eyes practically dared you to try something. You could have just asked for money, but no, you had to go and be sneaky about it. You lean back in your chair, crossing your legs with a playful smile. Where's the fun in that? A little mystery keeps things interesting, don't you think? You call this mystery? He asked, chuckling darkly. It's theft, sweetheart. You tilted your head, feigning innocence. Theft is such a harsh word. I prefer borrowing. Borrowing without asking is still stealing. You leaned forward, placing your chin in your hands as your eyes locked with his. Well, maybe I wanted to see if you would catch me, and you did. So, congrats. Jungkook's jaw clenched, but there was a glimmer of amusement in his gaze. You are unbelievable. Thanks for the compliment, you said, standing up as casually as possible. Well, it's been fun, Mr. Dangerous, but I should go before this conversation gets boring. As you moved to step away, he grabbed your wrist, not roughly but firmly enough to stop you. His smirk was back. Oh no, sweetheart. We are not done here. Sit. You smiled sweetly, looking down at his hand before locking eyes with him again. You don't want to make a scene, do you? He raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting you to challenge him. A scene? With lightning speed, you grabbed the drink from the table and accidentally spilled it on his shirt. Oops, you gasped dramatically. I'm so sorry, let me help. As Jungkook stepped back in surprise, you used the distraction to snatch his wallet from his hand and ran away. What the? He started, but you were already waving through the crowd. I still want Mr. Tall, dark, and handsome. His man stationed nearby instantly moved to follow, but Jungkook held up a hand, stopping them. Let her go, he said, his lips curling into a smirk. But boss, I said let her go. Jungkook repeated, his tone leaving no room for argument. He watched as he disappeared into the night, shaking his head in disbelief. She has got guts, I like that. Meanwhile, you ducked into an alleyway, finally catching your breath. Pulling out the wallet, you flipped it open, grinned at the cash inside. Nice doing business with you, Mr. Handsome. Better luck next time. You tucked the wallet into your bag, brushing off your hands, but even as you walked away, you couldn't shake the feeling of his gaze still on you, like he had let you escape on purpose. You thought you had gotten away clean. Days passed and you couldn't help but pat yourself on the back for pulling off the perfect heist. Sure, it was risky, but you had gotten what you needed and left Jungkook speechless in the process. Now you were sitting at a small cafe in a quiet part of the city, sipping your coffee and enjoying the thrill of your victory. The wallet had given you just enough cash to lay low for a while, and you were confident Jungkook would have written you off by now. Nice latte, does it taste as sweet as my money? You choked, nearly spilling your drink as Jungkook slid into the seat across from you. His black suit was immaculate, his smirk even more infuriating than you remembered. You? You stammered, clutching your coffee like it could somehow shield you. Jungkook rested his chin on his hand, looking at you like you were the most amusing thing he had ever seen. Miss me? I don't even know you. You snapped, trying to play it cool. Oh, come on. Don't play dumb now. You stole my wallet, ruined my shirt, and ran off like a character from a bad rom-com. And now you are here, sipping coffee like nothing happened. Well, I didn't tell you to wear white. Rookie mistake, by the way. Jungkook chuckled, shaking his head. You are unbelievable. And yet, here you are. Here I am, he agreed, his smirk widening, because I'm impressed. You are good, but you made one fatal error. Your heart sank. What error? You didn't change your routine, he said, gesturing to your coffee. This is the third time you have been here this week. I had a guy watching the place. A rookie mistake, by the way. You pressed your lips together. This was the first time you got caught. Jungkook leaned back, clearly enjoying himself. I've got to admit though, you are the first person who has ever gotten the better of me. It's kind of cute. You tried to run, but the moment you turned to run, two giant men in black suits stepped into view, blocking the cafe's entrance. Your head snapped to the other side of the street. Two more men appeared, casually leaning against a car, pretending to be on their phones. You bit your lip, knowing there's no escape. You turned to Jungkook, who was smirking. This time no running, sweetheart. You sighed and sat down. So what? You are here to kidnap me or something? Jungkook shook his head, clearly amused. Kidnap you? No, that's too easy. Then what do you want? He stopped right in front of you, close enough that you could smell the cologne that probably cost more than you rent. With a smirk that made your stomach do uncomfortable flips, he leaned in and said, I'm offering you a job. You blinked. A what now? A job, he repeated. Clearly, you have got skills, and I could use someone like you on my team. Wait. You said, stepping back. You want me, a random thief who stole your wallet, to work for you? Is this some kind of reverse psychology mind game? Are there hidden cameras? No games, no cameras. You have got potential, and I don't let potential go to waste. You stared at him, then glanced at his man, who looked ready to tackle you at a moment's notice. And what happens if I say no? Jungkook smug, you won't. And why is that? Because, he said, turning to walk away but pausing to glance over his shoulder. You are too smart to pass up an opportunity like this. Oh, and if you do try to run again, he motioned to his man who all gave you identical, don't even think about it looks. You'll regret it. You crossed your arms trying to ignore how infuriatingly cool he looked. This sounds like blackmail. Think of it as persuasion, he said with a wink. You begrudgingly agreed to Jungkook's job offer not because you wanted to, no, it was purely survival instinct. Also, the thought of trying to outwit him later and run away again gave you something to look forward to. Your job, Shadow Jungkook everywhere. He claimed it was for training purposes, but you had a sneaking suspicion he just didn't trust you to stay out of trouble. Your first day started in his office. You were sitting in a plush chair, swinging your legs, bored out of your mind. Jungkook, on the other hand, was busy flipping through documents. Do you always stare at people like that? He asked without looking up. You joiled it. What? No, I was just admiring the expensive decor. Right, he said, finally glancing at you with a smirk. Try not to steal anything. I would hate to have to chase you down again. Funny. You deadpanned, leaning back in your chair. So what exactly do you want me to do? File papers? Get coffee? Steal wallets for your mafia friends? Jungkook leaned forward, resting his elbows on his desk. No, your job is to keep me entertained. You blinked. Excuse me? You heard me, he said, his smirk growing. You are here to make my life interesting. And how do I do that? Oh, you're already doing it, he said, his eyes twinkling with amusement. You groaned. Great, I'm a glorified jester. Jungkook insisted you accompany him everywhere, which led to one of the most embarrassing moments of your life, grocery shopping with a mafia boss. You were walking beside him, pushing the cart, when you spotted a kid sneaking a candy bar into their pocket. Hey little buddy, you whispered, pointing to the camera above. Big mistake, rookie move. Jungkook overheard and raised an eyebrow. Teaching kids how to steal now. Relax, Mr. Morality Police, you said, rolling your eyes. Just giving advice. Besides, you are the one who dragged me into this criminal empire. Criminal empire? Harsh. I prefer the term business ventures. Now grab the cereal, the colorful one. It's for me. You eat Fruity Loops? You asked, trying not to laugh. Don't judge me, he said, tossing a pack of marshmallows into the cart. Jungkook was spending more and more time with you, and you noticed he was doing strange things like laughing at your lame jokes and buying you random gifts. One day, as you were sprawled out on his couch, flipping through TV channels, he walked in holding a box. What's this? You asked, sitting up. Open it, he said, shoving his hands in his pockets and looking away like he was nervous. You open the box to find a necklace with a small, intricate charm. Is this some mafia tracking device? You joked, holding it up. No, he said, his voice was quieter than usual. It's just I thought you would like it. Your heart skipped a beat, but you quickly masked it with sarcasm. Wow, are you trying to bribe me into being a better employee? He smirked, but there was something softer in his eyes. Maybe I just like seeing you happy. It was a rainy night and he was stuck in his mansion because apparently rain was dangerous in Jungkook's paranoid world. You were sitting by the window watching the storm when Jungkook walked in. Why do you always look like you're plotting an escape? He asked, sitting down beside you. Old habits die hard, you said with a shrug. There was a long silence before he spoke again. You know, you have really messed up my head. You turned to look at him surprised. What's that supposed to mean? It means, he said, running a hand through his hair, I can't stop thinking about you, your ridiculous schemes, your bad jokes, the way you eat croissants like it's a competition. You have made my life unbearable in the best way possible. You stared at him, your heart racing. Are you confessing or complaining? Both, he said, leaning closer. And I don't care if you run away again because I'll always find you, but I would prefer it if you stayed. He swallowed hard, trying to process his words. Wow, that's unexpectedly sweet and a little creepy. He laughed, the sound warm and genuine. Yeah, I figured. So, what's your answer? You smirked, leaning closer. I'll stay if you let me keep the necklace and buy me croissants every morning. Deal, he said, pulling you into a kiss that was as chaotic and unexpected as your entire relationship. From that day on, life was never boring. You kept Jungkook on his toes and he kept surprising you with how deeply he cared. Sure, he was still a mafia boss and you were still a shameless trickster, but somehow you made it work. And every time you tried to run, he would just smirk and say, go ahead, I dare you. Because in the end, you weren't just his partner in crime, you were his partner in love.